it's still taught inside our school system, and that's where the problem starts. There's no financial education in school system, and people are still trained to be employees to work for that paycheck. This is a chart on the middle class. What's happening in the middle class, those that went to school, their incomes have been coming down for years. And parents still say to the kids, go to school, get a job. Now what happens to all those middle class people who are dropping off the ends of off the chart? Well, they become what's called working poor. And this is what happens to working poor. But they say poverty is ending. Well, poverty may be ending, but working poverty is going up. And this is food stamp usage. So food stamp usage in America is going through the roof right now because people cannot earn what they call a living wage.
Most people have experienced financial pressures that I think are probably greater than they have been in the past.
If you're not working for yourself, then it's going to be a pretty hard road for a lot of people.
Today, if you're going to control your future, the 40-40 plan is gone where you can graduate from college and get a job and work for 40 hours a week for 40 years. That day is gone.
So some of these charts actually tell you what's going on. And this is a really interesting one, you know. People are going back to school because if I go back to school, I'll get a nice job. But this is what's happening to, it's called Sally Mae, which is the student loan guys. Student loan is going through the roof. It's now over $1 trillion, and student loan debt is worse than credit card debt. So when people stopped using credit card, the government got people into student loan debt. And the problem with student loan debt is you can never be forgiven. See, with credit card debt, you can declare bankruptcy and then all's forgiven. But student loan debt, you can declare bankruptcy, you still owe it. It's the worst of all debt. But this is the next picture. Look at this chart here. This is what's happening to wages of college graduates. It's going down. So you go to college, you rack up all this debt, but you earn less money. Now, that's not that intelligent.
The average person who's been working a lifetime in America today is ending their lifetime at 65 with about $41,000 in assets. They earned just enough to survive.
I think in the United States we have something like 17 trillion in debt.
That's just the federal government debt. We got another 2 in municipal, and in other, let's call it almost 20 trillion government. We've got 40 trillion in private debt. That comes up to close to 60 trillion. When you then add something we never had before, what you were talking about, when we look at the unfunded portion of Social Security and primarily Medicare, Medicaid, that at the most conservative estimates from outside firms, Kleiner Perkins, 67 trillion and growing. That's more than all our other debt. There's less conservative estimates that say it's 84 trillion or higher. I added up conservatively $127 trillion in total debt. Debt is a financial drug. When you take it to excess, it's like taking a drug. Yeah, it makes you feel better, it enhances your performance, but at a huge cost, eventually it kills you. And so that's what happens. We keep doing more and more debt, and you get less and less results, just like a drug, until the debt gets so high that it crushes the whole system. That's where we're at, 8.2 times GDP.
You know who I feel sorry for? I feel sorry for the person who dreads going to work, who is sick to their stomach on Monday morning, who hates their alarm clock, who gets a little glimmer of hope on a Wednesday because it's hump day, and says, thank God it's Friday. And they live for those 2 days a week where they get to be themselves and they don't have to be around people they don't like, and they don't have to play the political game in the office, and they don't have to live this half life. The person that works 50 weeks a year just to be able to have the 2 weeks for vacation. And you know what happens to most of them nowadays? They don't have a vacation. They have a staycation. They have time off of work, but they don't get to go where they want to go because they're overextended. They've got all this debt. They got all this situation. They hate their alarm clock. They can't sleep until they're done. They have to spend most of their life in traffic. I feel sorry for that group of people because there's a better way. They just don't know it.
I see this really interesting attempt at rugged individuality in a 6x8 rectangle, and I feel like you're all the same, except for the little push pins of the pictures. There's different pictures. Yours is named Jenny, and his is named Sujara, but it's the same people.
And this is how they are, and they're just like the zombies, and there's no joy in there, there's no fun. There's always like the wacky woman who decorates her cubicle, and that's the most she can do there. You got to give her credits, right? The wacky cubicle woman.
The basis for their life is worry. I'm worried, you know, maybe I'll get fired. I'm worried maybe my company will go out of business. I'm worried I can't keep spinning the plates on paying the bills. I'm worried about how do I send my kids to college. I'm worried, what if the transmission of my car breaks? That's, you know, 2 or 3, I can't fix it. People live in a sea of worry, and it eats at them.
Those signs that